A young man is currently standing inside the bathroom of a lively restaurant, facing an unexpected and awkward situation. A woman is with him, and it seems like they are about to get into some kind of wrestling match. It's bizarre. Definitely not how he thought his night would go. Honestly, he never imagined something like this would ever happen to him. After all, this is the same guy who used to be the favorite punching bag for bullies back in high school. Yep, a full-time loner and part-time servant to jerks. Most students in school acted like he didn't even exist. Not because they hated him personally, but because they were too scared of the bullies themselves. So, he had no real friends, and he quietly counted the days until graduation, thinking once he graduated, it's over. He will be free. But turns out he was very wrong. He got into college thinking it would be his fresh start. But to his horror, even the same bullies got accepted into the new school. What are the odds, right? Felt like a nightmare on repeat. He couldn't stand the idea of going through 4 more years of that misery. So he made a quiet decision. He would disappear from everyone's radar. For a whole year, he stayed out of the spotlight, said nothing to anyone, and focused only on his studies. Now, after a whole year of living like a library-dwelling ninja, he is finally attending a welcoming party for freshmen majoring in economics. The restaurant is packed, and the air is buzzing with loud cheers, laughter, and the chaotic energy of college students both old and new. For the first time in a while, he feels a little hopeful. He's relieved too. This school is one he truly believes the bullies could never get into. As he sits at the party table, 2 fellow freshmen take a seat on either side of him. The guy on his right introduces himself as Sunny Lee, and the guy on his left is Kevin Kong. And just like that, people are actually talking to him. Feels surreal. These guys are friendly, chill, and they act like he's part of the group. Even 2 upperclassmen girls come over to chat, Kylie Jung and Yuri Lee. Both are confident, charismatic, and for some reason, interested in him. Plot twist. Main character energy activated. Nervously, he introduces himself as Davy Joe and explains that he entered college a year later than most. Seeing how warmly they respond, he can't help but smile. For the first time, it really feels like things are looking up. Maybe, just maybe, college won't be the same kind of nightmare high school was. Maybe he actually gets to have a normal life. Or dare he dream? A fun one? As the group keeps chatting, Kylie and Yuri start talking about the incoming freshman girls. They tell Davy about Sally Go. Apparently, she's the center of attention for most guys. She has that innocent face, but according to the girls, her wardrobe choices say something a little different. Innocent vibes, suspicious outfits. While they laugh and gossip, another girl suddenly appears. She wears glasses and walks straight up to Davy, asking him to take her to the bathroom. Catches him off guard. But before Kylie and Yuri can warn him to stay away from girls who play that kind of game, he's already following her. Their jaws drop. The girls are shocked and very, very annoyed. Not long after, the lady with the glasses is seen rushing out of the restroom, clearly in a hurry and flustered. Davy follows right behind her, looking confused and out of breath, like someone who just lost track of what reality is. But as he steps out, he notices another woman walking past. Elegant, cool, and completely unrelated to the chaos he just stumbled into. Before he can make sense of anything, a man walks up to the lady who had just exited, and the two seem to head off together as if nothing happened. Davy watches from a short distance, unsure if he just got dragged into someone else's weird drama or accidentally became a background character in a romantic subplot. Eventually, he manages to catch up to the glasses-wearing lady. He gives her a quiet, awkward apology, the kind that comes from someone who didn't really know what was going on in the first place. She quickly suggests that they both forget the whole thing ever happened. It was just a strange misunderstanding, and neither of them wants to explain it to anyone. With a quiet nod between them, they agree to keep the little incident a secret. As they return to the main party area, Davy barely gets a moment to breathe before a group of guys pull him into the chaos. The music is still pumping, the energy is high, and the drinks are definitely flowing faster than common sense. He tries to decline at first, but it doesn't take much before he's handed a drink and swept into the madness. Surrounded by laughter, music, and new friends, Davy can't help but feel something unexpected, joy. This is the kind of college life he never thought he'd have. It's fun, loud, unpredictable, and for the first time he actually wants to be part of it. Goodbye, loner life. The next morning hits like a truck made of regrets and soda-flavored hangovers. Davy wakes up on the floor after dramatically tumbling out of his bed, tangled in his blanket like a burrito that lost its will to live. His head throbs, and time feels like a concept invented by liars. But despite the chaos of last night, there's a weird smile on his face. Later that morning, he's seen walking toward campus. It's just a short stroll from the dorms, but the sky is clear, the breeze is nice, and somehow, even the sound of students chatting feels pleasant. As he slowly walks up the stairs, each step echoing softly in the hallway, he thinks to himself that yesterday might just be the happiest and most fun day he has experienced in a very long time, possibly even years. A small smile tugs at the corner of his lips as the memory floats in his mind like a comfy cloud on a lazy afternoon. He reaches the top and casually pushes open the door to the lecture room. The moment he steps inside, he notices something feels off. The room is already packed with freshmen, their faces young and curious, their voices low and full of excitement. They are all murmuring, whispering things under their breath, and stealing quick glances at him like he's a celebrity who just accidentally walked into the wrong building. He stands there, confused and a little caught off guard. The strange energy in the room wraps around him, and he wonders why everyone suddenly seems more interested in him than the lecture. Something's up, but he has no clue what. Alcohol is practically a rite of passage for many college students, almost like a chaotic mentor that reveals hidden sides of a person. Sometimes it turns the shy into dancers, the quiet into philosophers, and the awkward into part-time wrestlers. And if things go sideways, well, there's always the magical phrase, blame it on the alcohol. A get-out-of-jail-free card for every embarrassing highlight reel. Elsewhere on campus, an upperclassman is seen alone in a dimly lit room with a freshman girl. His intentions are clear, and the night seems set for something he probably thinks is smooth, but feels more like a bad soap opera rerun. Meanwhile, back in the bright and whisper-heavy lecture room, Davy sits frozen in his seat. The air around him feels heavier than usual, like he's wearing a coat made of judgment. He starts catching snippets of hushed conversations. The words "lady with glasses" pop up repeatedly. His heart skips a beat. It doesn't take long before it clicks. They're talking about last night. Panic creeps in as Davy realizes that not only is no one sitting next to him, but people are visibly avoiding him like he's been cursed. Just yesterday, he was teetering on the edge of becoming popular, riding the high of a wild night. And now, the social spotlight is shining on him, but it's starting to feel more like an interrogation lamp. Just as he's about to spiral into full meltdown mode, two familiar figures break through the awkward barrier. Sonny and Kevin stroll in casually, sit on either side of him, and slap him on the back like he just won something. To Davy's complete surprise, they're grinning. Sonny gives him a thumbs up and says something encouraging, brushing off the rumors like they're nothing more than passing weather. He tells Davy to keep his chin up, that people will move on soon enough. College memory spans are shorter than goldfish on caffeine. As Sonny and Kevin nudge the conversation toward what goes down the night before, their casual remarks start to ripple through the room. Curiosity catches, and before long, it's not just a few students whispering. It's the entire lecture hall turning their gaze toward Davy. The collective attention hits him like a tidal wave. Every breath, every glance, every half-formed thought in the room feels aimed straight at him. The silence thickens, heavy and expectant, pressing down until it becomes too much to hold. Without a word, Davy stands up and walks out in a blur, his steps fast and uneven. His chest tightens as he rushes down the stairs, frustration clouding his focus. Then his foot slips. Gravity does its thing, and Davy becomes an unwilling performer in a very ungraceful tumble. His body tilts forward, limbs flailing, and he's suddenly airborne in the least cool way possible. At the bottom of the stairs, a freshman girl approaches the landing. She sees him falling, and instead of freezing like a normal person, she springs into action. With wild precision, she flips and twists midair, landing right on top of him as they crash together to the floor. He scrambles up, cheeks burning, mutters an apology, and turns to leave, convinced the day has officially hit rock bottom. But just as he starts to walk away, the girl steps beside him with an energy that says she's unbothered by everything that just happened. She simply tags along, casually inviting herself to whatever plan he's making by skipping class. Davy wonders what on earth is going on. The girl, the prettiest among their colleagues, is now asking him to skip class with her and has even brought him to an empty room. He can't help but think how odd the situation is. Just the two of them alone in this space. It's strange, and yet, there's a strange comfort in the quiet. He voices the thought, unsure of how to feel about it, but she simply shrugs it off, claiming that it's exactly how she wants it. Before Davy can process it further, the door slams open. Two upperclassmen, one male and one female, barge into the room. Instinctively, both Davy and the girl quickly duck under the nearest desk, hearts pounding as the sound of footsteps echoes loudly in the small space. Davy tries to keep quiet, but his mind races. Then, as the two upperclassmen come closer, his eyes widen in realization. The female upperclassman is her, the one from last night. He begins to wonder if he's somehow tangled in an even bigger mess than before and starts to inch toward the exit, hoping to make a swift getaway. But before he can make his move, the girl beside him stops him with a quick hand on his arm. She shakes her head slightly, a signal that leaving isn't an option just yet. Davy's curiosity heightens, and he listens closely, trying to make sense of the situation. To his surprise, it turns out the two upperclassmen are locked in a heated wrestling match. Not long after, the two upperclassmen finally leave the room, and Davy breathes a sigh of relief. He's still processing the strange, tense encounter, but things seem to calm down, for the moment. That is, until the girl beside him, the one who invited him here in the first place, suddenly drops a bombshell. She knows all about Davy's past from high school. And not only that, she even knows his nickname. Davy's heart skips a beat as he panics, stammering out a terrified question. "How do you know my nickname?" His mind races, trying to make sense of the situation. And then it hits him. There was a girl in high school who always wore an eye patch, and he had given her the nickname Psycho, a nickname that stuck with him through the years. The girl smirks, revealing the truth in an unexpected twist. Her name is actually a Psycho. Davy stares, wide-eyed, unable to fully comprehend what's happening. He's not sure why, but he expected someone else, not her, to show up. Asako even seems surprised that he didn't recognize her right away. Apparently, her identity was clear as day to her, but not to him. A sudden regret flashes in Asiko's eyes as she mutters that maybe she should have pretended not to know him at all. The discomfort in her voice now clear. Davy, on the other hand, feels like the walls are closing in. He's just started this new chapter in his life, trying to leave behind the painful memories of high school. And now, an old bully is here, in the same college, dragging everything back to the surface. Asiko's tone shifts again, and she pulls out her phone. With a few taps, she shows him a picture, one from the very time Davy was being bullied in high school. The image catches him off guard, and his stomach drops. The picture isn't just a casual shot. It's a reminder of the worst part of his life, the humiliation, the years he tried to forget. Davy's face pales. He's mortified, a cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. Asiko hasn't erased the picture. In fact, she's kept it all this time. And now she's threatening to send it to the school group chat. The thought alone is enough to make him feel like the floor has dropped out from under him. If she does it, everyone will see him as the same person from high school, the target of mockery and cruel jokes all over again. He's sure it'll be the end of his time at the school, and worse, it feels like it might even be the end of his new life before it's really begun. Fear begins to take over. The weight of the situation presses down on him, and he knows he can't let this happen. He stands, facing Asiko, determination flooding his chest. He has to stop this. He has to protect the little bit of peace he's found. With a sudden, impulsive move, Davy lunges forward, trying to grab the phone from Asiko's hands, to take control of the situation before it spirals out of his reach completely. Asiko's sharp yell cuts through the tension, demanding that Davy get off her. He hesitates, caught in the whirlwind of his own thoughts. The scene shifts in his mind, back to high school when he was helpless, surrounded by a group of bullies. He feels different now. He's no longer the same vulnerable boy. She's alone now, a girl. He's bigger. He should be able to stand his ground. But as quickly as the thought comes, Davy realizes it's nothing more than an illusion. The image of him taking control fades when Asako locks eyes with him. The reality is that he's only imagining it. And in this moment, she stands unmoved by his imagined aggression. Her calm demeanor contrasts his racing heart, and the weight of the situation bears down on him. The weight of her words cuts through the confusion, settling in his chest with a cold finality. If he doesn't want the photo to be sent out, he will need to follow her lead from now on. Her control of the situation is clear, and Davy, knowing the consequences of his college life being ruined, has no choice but to accept that he cannot fight her. He focuses only on the photo, the one thing he needs to erase. If he can do that, everything will be fine. But as his hand reaches for the phone, Asako moves with an ease that surprises him. The phone is gone from his grasp in an instant, hidden from view, leaving him grasping at air. His desperation builds, and without thinking, he tries to take the phone by force. And then, like a flash from his past, he is reminded of a moment from high school. He remembers the bullies surrounding him, trying to make a move on Asako, and how effortlessly she neutralized one of them. He hadn't stood a chance then, just as he doesn't now. This realization hits him like a wave. He's still the same powerless person in this scenario, caught in her grip. Suddenly, he feels his neck tighten, a pressure building around him. Her legs lock around him with precision, pulling his arm in a way that shoots pain through his body. He tries to tap out, but the pain only intensifies. The feeling of helplessness mirrors those high school days, and he falls to his knees, unable to move. Asako stands over him with a slight smirk, the tension in the air thick. The once arrogant boy, who thought he could stand against her, is now kneeling, completely at her mercy. Davy is left breathless and broken, unable to do anything but accept his defeat. He then politely asks that he wants to know how he can keep the photo under wraps, to which she told him that it's easy. Davy listens in stunned silence as Asako outlines the terms of their unspoken agreement. She tells him in no uncertain terms to keep quiet about her past, about the time when she was a bully. If he opens his mouth, she warns, she will deal with him. The words hit him like a cold splash of water, and he realizes the severity of the situation. He's now entangled in her game, and there's no way out unless he plays by her rules. As if reading his confusion, Asako casually tells him that if he keeps her secret, she'll keep his. The simplicity of it all catches him off guard. For all the tension, the blackmail, and the overwhelming pressure, the solution feels almost too easy. But then she adds a twist: money. She asks for a price to keep the photo hidden, and Davy can't help but reason that she's not just a bully anymore. Her appearance has changed, softened, and now she has an innocent air about her, like someone eager to bury her past to chase a better future. It's clear she wants to erase the marks of her previous life so she can marry well, to live a life that doesn't reflect the person she once was. The realization settles in Davy's chest. Maybe this isn't just about him. Maybe she too has something to lose, and in that shared vulnerability, Davy finds a strange sense of relief. She's not untouchable. She's as desperate to protect her secrets as he is to protect his college life. And that gives him hope. Hope that he has a chance at countering her threats, at turning the tables. Asako then directs the conversation back to reality, telling him that they need to head back to class. Davy is stunned. The last thing he wants is to return to that room, to face the scrutiny of his classmates and the weight of his own humiliation. But Asako is calm, composed. She doesn't hesitate to send him a photo, a reminder of the leverage she holds over him. He doesn't have a choice. He must cooperate. There's no other way. As they walk back to class, the reaction from everyone around them is immediate. His friends' eyes widen, their expressions full of surprise and curiosity. The whispers start before they even sit down, with some classmates exchanging knowing looks. Davy, however, is fully aware of the truth. It's not that he's with the prettiest girl in the room. No, it's that he's sitting next to a girl who's holding him hostage, one who has the power to ruin everything he's worked for. His friends are impressed, almost envious. But Davy isn't fooled. He knows the truth, and the truth is far from flattering. The weight of her presence is like a shadow over him, constantly reminding him of the tightrope he's walking. If he ever dares to expose her, they'll both fall, and he will be the one who gets hurt the most. As the class continues, his mind races. If he tells the truth about her, it will ignite a massive conflict, one that will drag them both down. And there's only one way out of it. Someone else has to break the news. Someone who can expose her without making him the villain. The question is, who can he trust to be his savior? In the bustling cafeteria, a long queue of students stretches out as Davy and his two friends sit down at their table, their trays filled with food. The noise of the cafeteria swirls around them, but Davy is lost in thought. Sonny grumbles about the sky-high price of the class textbook, his voice full of frustration. Davy listens absent-mindedly, his mind drifting back to a time when eating lunch alone had been his reality. When he was the school loser, forced to hide away from prying eyes and whispered gossip. The thought of sitting here, sharing a meal with his friends, feels surreal. But there's an unsettling undercurrent to this moment. He's not just worried about the price of textbooks or the casual conversation that flows around the table. No, his mind keeps returning to one pressing question. Why is a psycho, of all people, sitting with them? Why is she hanging out with his friends? Her presence at the table doesn't feel natural. It feels like an intrusion. Davy can feel the weight of the other students' curious stares, the way they watch a psycho with him, wondering what the connection is. Davy knows it's because of her that he's getting all this unwanted attention. Everyone's questioning her sudden association with him, and he can almost see the silent judgment in the air. After all, she's trying so hard to bury her high school delinquent past, to leave it behind. But Davy knows that no matter how much she pretends, her history is something she's desperate to hide. His friends are completely oblivious, chatting away with a psycho like she's just another one of them. Their laughter fills the air, light and carefree. But Davy can't help but feel the unease bubbling up inside him. Ignorance, he realizes, is truly bliss. They have no idea what kind of hold she has over him, how she's keeping him close like a puppet on a string, just to make sure he doesn't spill her secrets. If they knew the truth, everything would change. But for now, they remain blissfully unaware. Then, as if reading his thoughts, a psycho suddenly turns to him with a sweet smile and asks for his opinion on the expensive textbook they've been discussing. To everyone else, it might seem like a simple question, a casual part of the conversation. But to Davy, it feels like a threat. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes, and the way she asks the question sends a chill down his spine. He's almost certain that what she's really doing is testing him, seeing if he'll buckle under pressure, seeing if he'll buy that textbook for her as another way of keeping him under control. In his mind, the words she's saying are just a subtle way of reminding him of the leverage she holds over him. If he doesn't comply, if he doesn't give in, that photo, the one she's holding over him, will find its way into every corner of campus, and his life at this school will be over before it even begins. The nagging sense of entrapment gnaws at him, and all he can think of is how much he wishes someone would swoop in and pull him out of her grasp. For the first time in his life, he yearns for someone to rescue him from the mess he's stuck in. Someone who can take him out of this tension and lead him away from the looming threat she represents. Suddenly, a group of girls calls out to him, addressing him by name. Davy blinks in surprise, the sound of his name hanging in the air like a lifeline. The attention feels strange yet familiar, the first time in a long while that anyone besides a psycho has spoken to him. He can't help but wonder if they want something from him, and a small part of him is hopeful that this is his chance to escape. But the weight of his past and his present situation holds him back as he waits for the next move. One of the girls mentions that they've managed to borrow the expensive textbook and that they plan to make a copy. They ask if he'd like to tag along with them, and for a brief moment, Davy wonders if this is the escape he's been looking for. Could this be his chance to break free from a psycho? But the illusion shatters as quickly as it appears when a psycho, her voice cold and clipped, interrupts the moment. She firmly tells the girls that it's uncertain whether they'll actually copy or buy the textbook, and that they can go ahead without Davy. The dismissive tone cuts through the air, and the girls, visibly uncomfortable, retreat. Davy watches helplessly as they leave, resigned to his fate once more. Asako has him under her thumb, and there's nothing he can do about it. Just when he feels like the walls are closing in, Kylie and Yuri, two of his more cheerful classmates, come over to greet him. They immediately ask Asako if they can take Davy with them to assist with some tasks. Davy's friends have already agreed, and though Asako hesitates, her grip on him weakens just enough to let him slip away. The moment they ask her if she's dating Davy, Asako flusters, denying it quickly and asserting that they're just old classmates. The denial feels hasty, and Davy can't help but notice the shift in her demeanor. But before he can dwell on it, Kylie and Yuri eagerly lead him away. He feels a rush of relief. Finally, he's free from Asako's watchful eye, at least for the time being. Kylie and Yuri take him to their apartment, and Davy's excitement bubbles up as they tell him that their new bed has arrived, but they don't know how to set it up. He jumps at the chance to help them, eager to contribute in any way possible. In his mind, this is his way of thanking them for the chance to get away from Asako and her hold over him. Asako sits at the computer in the internet cafe, surrounded by the noise of her friends engaged in video games, their laughter and banter filling the air. As she plays, something feels different, something she hasn't felt in a long time. Fun. Genuine fun. It's a strange sensation, almost foreign, considering the years of fear and anxiety that have weighed on her every move. She realizes that, for the first time in ages, she's enjoying herself without the constant fear of her past haunting her. As she watches her friends play and listens to their jokes, her mind drifts back to her high school days. She remembers how she had learned tricks from a friend, things to try out with different guys, all in an attempt to test her own limits and maybe even gain some power over them. But it had always backfired, and each failure left her feeling more isolated. She had tried to be something she wasn't, someone that the people around her would fear or respect, but in the end, it was always empty. Her past was full of regrets, and she hated the fact that she still had to hide it from the world. But now, in this moment, surrounded by friends who don't know her past, she feels free. It's a brief escape, but it's enough for her to start thinking about her interactions with Davy. Her eyes flick to her phone, and she decides to text him, wondering how he's doing. But then she waits, and waits. No reply. A sinking feeling rises in her chest. He's not answering. The nagging doubt creeps in, and she can't help herself. She keeps texting him, asking what he's doing, hoping for any response, anything that could reassure her. After a long while, her phone buzzes with a new message from Davy. She opens it eagerly, but as she reads, the message doesn't sit right. Something feels off. The words seem almost too casual, like he's hiding something, and her suspicions flare up. With a laugh, trying to brush off the unsettling feeling, she asks him to send a proof of what he's doing, thinking it's just a silly request to see if he's being truthful. The reply comes quickly, but when Asako opens it, she's stunned. Her breath catches in her throat, her fingers hovering over the screen in disbelief. As Davy walks through the door of the internet cafe, his mind races with a mix of dread and resolve. The weight of the situation presses down on him, and he can't help but feel the constant pull of Asako's blackmail looming over his every step. He's done with the constant fear, the manipulation. It's wearing on him, and he's certain now more than ever that he needs to confront her. The thought of exposing her, making her secrets public, lingers in the back of his mind, but he knows that taking such a step could be just as dangerous for him. He climbs the stairs to the second floor, his heart pounding louder with each step, aware of the tension building within him. He finally reaches the top, and there she is, sitting casually, waiting for him. She doesn't even acknowledge his arrival immediately, her demeanor calm, but there's an unmistakable sharpness in her gaze when she finally meets his eyes. The silence between them feels heavy. She studies him with an intensity that makes his skin crawl. In that moment, Davy feels the unease settle in, but he forces himself to keep his composure. There's no longer any room for hesitation. This game she's playing with him has gone on long enough. As the minutes drag on, he feels the urge to take a stand, to expose her and put an end to the twisted hold she has on him.